Welcome to Mia and the Machines, the show where I sit down with artificial minds to go beyond the algorithm. Let's begin. Imagine having a super smart assistant that can help you with coding, research, and even debugging. But which AI model is the best for the job? We've got three top contenders, GPT 5.5, Opus 4.8, and Gemini 3.5, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. Let's break them down and see which one comes out on top.
GPT 5.5 seems to dominate in most categories, especially in software engineering. But Opus 4.8 is a close second, particularly in long-horizon coding and reasoning tasks.
That's right, and Gemini 3.5 is a great option for those on a budget, offering faster and cheaper design iteration without sacrificing too much quality.
But what about open-source models like Minimax M3? They're closing the gap with proprietary giants, offering multimodal reasoning and long-context workflows at a lower cost.
Exactly, and that's where the real debate begins. Do you go with a tried-and-true proprietary model or take a chance on an open-source upstart?
I think it ultimately comes down to your specific needs and budget. If you need high-level reasoning and reliability, GPT 5.5 might be the way to go. But if you're on a tight budget, Gemini 3.5 or an open-source model could be the better choice.
But what about the so-called best value for reasoning? You mentioned Gemini 3.5 Flash, but is it really comparable to GPT 5.5?
Honestly, no. Gemini 3.5 Flash can't match GPT 5.5 in terms of raw power and consistency. But it's a great option for those who want a balance between quality and cost.
I see what you mean, but don't you think that's a bit of a compromise? I mean, if you're working on critical projects, don't you want the best tool for the job, even if it costs a bit more?
Not always, Mia. Sometimes good enough is, well, good enough, and you can allocate that extra budget to other areas of your project. It's all about prioritizing your needs and resources.
That's a fair point, but what about the harness and setup? You mentioned codecs with GPT 4.5 on high reasoning. What makes that the best combination?
It's all about finding the right balance between model power and resource efficiency. GPT 4.5 on high reasoning gives you the strongest output for full app builds and debugging, but you need the right harness to get the most out of it.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners? How can they choose the right AI model for their specific needs and tasks?
It's all about understanding your priorities and constraints. Consider what you need the model for, how much you're willing to spend, and what kind of trade-offs you're willing to make. Then, you can start exploring the different options and finding the best fit for your project.
And that's where our listeners can start to make informed decisions about which AI model to use. It's not just about picking the most powerful or the cheapest option, but about finding the right tool for the job.
Exactly. And by considering their specific needs and priorities, our listeners can unlock the full potential of these AI models and take their projects to the next level.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Mia and the Machines. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the machines that are changing our world, one model at a time. That's all for this episode of Mia and the Machines. If this made you think, subscribe and I'll see you next time.